that everybody goes into marriage with the mindset of success. There is no one who is intending to marry with the aim of failure. So everybody at the beginning is hopeful that it is going to succeed. So dearly beloved brethren, there is a key I want every one of us to understand, especially young people that are just preparing to enter. If you want to know the person that is suitable for you, the right person for you, there is one key I want you to keep in your mind. And that is in Ephesians chapter 5, verse 21. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 21. I do notice that many people, when they want to talk about marriage from the book of Ephesians chapter 5, it is usual for them to start reading from verse 22. But verse 21 is actually a very important key in the matter of success of marriage. The word of God says, and I read, submitting to one another in the fear of God. So that key is the fear of God. Let me tell you, brethren, that if you marry a person that fears God, there is every chance that you will succeed in your marriage. The fear of God is critical to the success of marriage. A man that fears God will not abuse his wife. A woman that fears God will not abuse her husband. So it is very important that the person you are going to marry fears God. And for those who are married already, if you are a husband, you must fear God in all your dealings with your wife. What you are going to say to her and how you are going to behave, to her, you must fear God. And if you are also a woman, a wife, you must fear God in all your dealings with your husband. In everything you are going to do, everything you are going to say, in what manner of behavior you will put up before your husband, it is very important for you to fear God. The fear of God will compel us as husband and as wife to depart from evil. If you fear God, you will remember that there is God in all you do with your husband and with your wife. Now let's talk about the elements that will actually cause the relationship to succeed. If the marriage will succeed, then it must be a union between two lovers. If marriage will succeed, that marriage must be a union between two lovers, two people that are lovers, sincere lovers, genuine lovers. We're not talking about lust or infatuation. We're talking about real love, people that genuinely love themselves. And you remember that sacrifice is the hallmark of true love. People who love themselves must be ready to make sacrifices for themselves. They must be ready to tolerate the excesses of one another. People who truly love themselves will not concentrate on each other's mistakes. People who truly love one another will promote the strength of one another and lay less emphasis on the weaknesses of one another. People who truly love one another will assist each other. They will assist one another to get over the weaknesses of each other's temperament. Because every one of us is a bundle of pluses and minuses. We have strengths and we have weaknesses. And so people who truly love one another will emphasize on the strength of one another and not on the weaknesses of one another. So for marriage to work, it has to be a union between two lovers, two people that are truly lovers. Number two, for marriage to work, it has to be a union between two forgivers. The two people involved in marriage must have the nature of forgiveness. Forgiveness must not be a problem for people who desire success in marriage. They must be able to forgive one another. The reason is because the two people that are involved in marriage are offenders. As a husband, you will keep offending your wife because you are not God and you are not an angel. And as a woman, as a wife, you will also be offending your husband because you are not God. You are not an angel. Let me tell you this. The earlier you realize that the person you marry is going to offend you, the better it is for both of you. The man must always understand that he is man. Even God who made us has left that gap of offense. You see, in the book of Genesis chapter number 6, Genesis chapter 6, if you look at it from verse 3, the Bible says, "And the Lord said, My spirit shall not strive with man forever, for he is indeed flesh." That's what God said. Inasmuch as man is flesh, even God said, "I will not be striving with him forever." God is a forgiver. That's why he enjoys his relationship with man. So if you want to enjoy your relationship with your spouse, you want to enjoy your relationship with your husband, you want to enjoy your relationship with your wife, you must be a forgiver. Because the person you have married is an offender. And somebody asked me, "Pastor, when will my wife stop offending me? Or when will my husband stop offending me?" And the answer is simple. When he or she dies. That's when you will stop offending one another. And so you just have to have the grace of forgiveness. And that is also an offshoot of love. So you must be ready at all times to forgive one another. I was in a program sometimes ago and I was discussing forgiveness, and then a young man raised up his hand and said, "Pastor, well, I understand forgiveness, but I can't forget." And I told him that once you have not forgotten, you have actually not forgiven. Because the true essence of forgiveness is for you to forget. Because once God forgives us a sin, he completely forgets about it. It is no longer in his record. So if you are still keeping the record of the offenses of your spouse, it shows that you have not really truly forgiven. And so if you want to enjoy marriage, the two of you must be forgiver. The union between you must be a union between two forgivers. You must be forgivers. Then the third thing is that if your marriage will work, both of you must be communicators. That is, the two people involved in that marriage must be two people that can freely communicate. Let me assure you that communication is it's a lubricant of relationship. Communication is very, very critical to success of marriage. If your marriage will succeed, the two of you must have the ability to speak together, to communicate. You must have time for one another to communicate. And I always say that communication is the lubricant of relationship. In the absence of communication, it is like you start a car and you forgot to put in the engine oil, what will happen? Number one, there will be plenty of noise. So in any relationship where communication is lacking, there will be plenty of noise. The second thing that will happen is there will be heat. Plenty of heat will be generated. And so in a relationship where communication is lacking, you have a lot of heated situation, heated argument. The home will be very, very hot. And the next thing that will happen in the absence of the lubricant is that, you know, there will be plenty of friction. And at the end of the day, there will be a knock. And so when there is no effective communication in relationship, all these things will happen, and then eventually the marriage will be grounded. So if the relationship will succeed, if the two people involved will have success in their home, they must be effective communicators. So they must see their union or their marriage as a union between two communicators. Another one is that the two people going into marriage must see marriage as a union between two bendable people, two people that are pliable, two people that can compromise. Well, as far as Christianity is concerned, compromise sounds like a negative language. But in relationship, compromise is a positive thing. Compromise means the two of them must be able to shift ground. The two of them must be able to adjust. The two of them must be able to adapt. I always tell people, if marriage cannot bend you, then it will break you. If you are a kind of person that says, I have made up my mind, I don't change my mind, I can't change my mind, then you are going to have the worst from marriage. You cannot continue to have your way all the time in marriage. Many a times you have to shift. And let me tell you this, in marriage relationship, it is impossible for that to happen when each of them or one of them is not ready to bend. In this part of the world, in Africa, we usually believe that men are always right. And so it is the wife that will have to accept what the husband says all the time. And that is not correct. As a man, you can also be wrong. You can make mistake. And many a times you have to dance to the tune of your wife. The two of you must be ready to bend. You know, there is nobody that is Mr. Right, quote and unquote, in marriage.
Well, sir, let me quickly take you up on that, or probably let me just say this what you're saying. For those of you listening to us, this is Hipraise Radio, and I am your handcuff person. I am sincerely sorry if I am late on the program today, but it's because of the situation around. But I'll quickly take you on this, sir. In this part of the world, in Africa, in quotes,
yes,
most of the time, women do not have a say.
right.
But we're talking now about what we can do to have a good marriage.
Yeah.
But most of the time, is it the ego of the man, or is the culture that is filtering into our marriage, where the man will say, I am talking, we are talking, come on, keep quiet. No sorrow, we're not sorrow. Is it the ego of the man or the culture that is filtering into our relationship? Because so many at times you will see that even most of the women will not be able to come out. They don't have the boldness to come out to say, this is what I am going through in my marriage, this is what the man is saying, because nobody will listen to them, sir. Right. Nobody will listen to them. You can imagine parents telling their daughter,
well, actually there are two things. Both of what you have mentioned are responsible for lack of say from women. Number one, irrespective of culture, there is always this masculine ego in man. Every man, even as a boy, is born with this innate belief that he is superior to a girl. That's the way a man is made. They have that, superiority complex. They have that masculine ego. But the situation is worse in Africa because our culture is a bit against women. Not only African culture. Even if you look at the culture of the Jews, especially at the Bible times.
Yes, sir. Yes.
An average Jewish man sees a woman as somebody who is just a little bit better than a slave. That's why when a Jewish man, wakes up in those days, there are three things he will thank God for. He will say, God, I thank you because I am not an infidel. I will say, God, I thank you because I am not a woman. I will say, I thank you because I'm not a slave. I will first say, God, I thank you because I am not an infidel. God, I thank you because I'm not a slave. And then, God, I thank you because I'm not a woman. To them, after an infidel, which is the worst situation of man, according to them, the next is to be a slave. And then next to being a slave is to be a woman. And that is why in the construction of their worship house, the women are put outside. Wow. So it's not only the culture of Africa, there are several other cultures that is actually against women. But the culture of the kingdom of God, the church that we represent, is not in any way against women.
Hallelujah.
Jesus Christ removed that wall of partition. Jesus Christ removed that dichotomy. And that is why everybody is treated as a son before God. Either you are a male son or you are a female son. The second aspect of it is the African culture where a man, even when you see men in an African home, when men are sitting down talking, a woman should not sit in their midst.
That's right.
When a friend comes in, the woman of the house must automatically excuse herself and go out. And unfortunately, many Christian men are still carrying that Africanized culture.
Nature.
And seriously, if you carry that nature to your marriage, you will always believe that your wife must do what you say, whether you are wrong or you are right. There was a case I handled. They came all the way from Ushogo to come and see me in Ibadan. And the woman was saying that there was a time the man wanted to make some investments in business. And, the feminine instinct of the woman was like, this thing will not work. And was trying to persuade the husband to change his mind. Guess what the man said? Is it your money? So leave me alone. It's not your money. And he was not going to listen to his wife. At the end of the day, he went ahead and he lost over ₦1 million. And the wife was like, if we have that money, we could have used it for something else. So as I was discussing before, marriage will work when the two parties are ready to bend. They are ready to shift ground.
Marriage will work when two parties are ready to shift ground.
And I've also mentioned before you came out that if you cannot bend in marriage, marriage will break you. And it has broken a lot of people. But it is better to bend than to break. And sometimes as a woman or as a man, as a father, as a husband or as a wife, you may be right. But at that point, your partner does not understand your point. So you have to shift ground in order to make peace. So that is it, both the culture and then the masculine ego. But if you want to succeed as a man, you don't carry that to your marriage.
Thank you very much. For those of you just joining us, this is Hipraise Radio, and the program is Family Roundtable, where we sit to discuss issues that has to do with our families, things that we can do to make our families, our home, a better place. And you'll be listening to our family coach, Reverend Amos Oladile, on the program. And we're still talking about the foundation, the basics, the basic things, basic needs of a good home, of a good marriage. What are the things that we can put in place? What are the habits? What are the attributes that we can just put in place to have a good home? Sir, and just as you are saying, we're still talking about foundation of a good marriage.
Yeah.
I have a case study of a family.
Maybe before we go to that, maybe I should just conclude on those basic elements.
All right,
I've talked about the fact that the two of them have to be lovers.
Yes.
The two of them have to be forgivers.
Okay.
And then I said the two of them have to be communicators. It must be people who can communicate and speak together. Then I've just talked about the fact that the two of them must be pliable, they must be bendable, they must be ready to bend. That is compromise. They must be ready to compromise. Then I need to also add that the two of them must be prayer partners. It is very important. The family that prays together stays together. And so the two of them must constitute the habit of praying together. If you are married, the day you are married, your partner is supposed to be your prayer partner from that moment, even before that time. For young people we coach in courtship, one of the things we do is to build in them the habit of prayer partnership. So if they have, if they don't have that mindset before, we compel them to have, because we give them prayer assignments, we give them time. So by the time you are going to get married, they are already used to praying together. Like I always tell young people, distance is not a barrier for people to constitute prayer partnership. When I was in courtship, my partner was in Ilorin and I was in Ile-Ife. But there is always a time. We pray together 3 days prayer and fasting every month. And we have prayer point. We can't meet every month. But we pray together on the same prayer points at the same time. And I'm sure that as I was praying in my own location, I'm sure she's also praying in her location. It was not the days of the GSM. We hope we could only write letters. So, 3 months when we come together, we will sit down and design our next 3 month prayer points and prayer arrangements. By that, they are used to praying on issues. The Bible says if two of you will agree on anything they ask from God, anything, and it will work. When the two of them can agree in prayer, when they have prayer habits together. So apart from being prayer partners, the two of them must also be, their union must be a union of purity.
A union of purity.
Yes, the two of them must make up their mind that I am going to be pure as much as I am expecting purity from my partner. Within last week, I had several cases of people having retaliatory cheating. That, why are you cheating on your wife? Because he cheated on me. Because she cheated on me. Why are you cheating on, your husband? She was the first person to cheat on me. No,
honestly, I have a case of a lady who said, because so many times she accuses her husband of infidelity. She now said she was tired of accusing the man. She now said, so that she will have that guilty conscience, that anytime she wants to ask her husband, why are you doing this? She now did it.
Why?
She did it because she doesn't want to ask her husband again. Anytime she feels like asking her husband, she will tell herself, oh girl,
I'm also doing it.
You have done it.
The devil of immorality has taken over completely the whole.
Family.
They are, both of them are now full-fledged prisoners.
Two wrongs can never make
No,
right.
no man, no man. So, right from the beginning, they should be able to make up their mind that we will make this relationship a relationship of purity. You know, as a counselor, when I want to counsel young people, especially those who decide for me to coach them in worship, like I started with one yesterday, just yesterday, the two of them came and said they wanted me to coach them, you know. And I told them my number one condition is no sex before marriage. If you do it, I will know, because Holy Spirit is my senior partner. I will tell you. But in case I don't know, I need them to understand you have brought a curse upon yourself, because you have involved me in something that is against God. And I quote the scriptures there, Hebrews chapter 13 verse 1. Marriage is honorable in all, the bed undefiled. Fornicators and warmongers God will judge. There is a curse of God on sex before marriage. So if the two of you can make up your mind to live in purity, then your marriage will work. Because infidelity is a key factor in crisis in the home today. And most of them, they are used to infidelity
Started before the marriage.
before they got married. So in the name of, what do you call it, dating and whatever, they have started sleeping together. And as is, if a man can sleep with you without being your husband, that man can sleep with any other person who is not his wife. So you have no reason to complain, because you know that can happen. Somebody who is not faithful to you, while you are not together, will not be faithful. I always tell people, before I got married, I was in courtship with my partner for 7 good years.
Wow.
And both of us got married as virgins, to the glory of God. So it's a determination that we're going to make this marriage work. We will practice purity. And so once you are able to do that, God dwells in an atmosphere of purity. You know, so you can always invite God to your home. But imagine the husband is going this way in evil, immorality, and the wife also has gone her own way. She cannot even check the husband. So the devil finds a very big throne and sits in the home and operate as he likes.
Well, I would like to add this, because there are some people that got married and eventually gave their life to Christ.
Right.
So if you have been living a dirty life before you
Right.
got married,
Right.
it is a good thing that God has, gotten in touch with you, and in your marriage, God is actually living there. So even if that has happened before
the
you
past.
got married,
Yeah.
it does not really matter, because you
Yeah.
said something that if you have sex before marriage and all that, you have brought
Yeah.
curse upon yourself. But those times where the days